topic of this TED talk, the inverted tree. And I think each one of us can interpret it the way we want to. And I will speak about the way I have interpreted it, the way I felt my life has shaped. I always talk about how things have changed in my life, what I was before, and how things just got transformed. Uh, and whatever I am today, leading an organization, is because of a lot of influence of several others. So I believe that a tree that you see, when you see a tree, you look at the branches, the leaves, the beautiful flowers, the fruits. But really, what is important is the roots of the tree, because those are the gunas, or that is the core of what you see in the outside world. So if you consider that the branches and the leaves and the fruits and the flowers are your actions depict what your core is. So therefore, when you talk about an identity of a person, or a personality, or a character of a person, uh, that character is defined because of the person's actions. And that is just overt. The actions are something that you see on the top, but what is at the core are the gunas, or the roots, or the sanskars that you have been probably brought up in, you have been taught, or you have just imbibed them. And I believe that there are so many people around you that influence your sanskars. And first and foremost is the family. I think the Indian value system, or the Indian family system, is very important. If you move abroad, when you go into the outside world, out of India, you realize that the family system that we have is not in existence in many of the Western world. And I think each one of us should feel very proud that our parents are still taking care of ourselves. Even at my age, my parents still take care of me. So if I go to Delhi and have a hectic, travel schedule, my mother will call me when I'm boarding the flight. And the moment I alight and I switch on my mobile, the first call that comes to me is from my mother to find out whether I landed safely. So I think these are family systems or family values that get imbibed into you inadvertently. So, you realize that your mother is taking care of you in this manner, and then you start taking care of your own children. And likewise, sometimes your father, your parents, so many other members in your family influence your life. For me, I think my life has certainly been influenced by my family. The way I grew up, where my parents were nurturing an organization that they didn't even realize would grow to this magnitude. And little did I realize that in a family that I was growing, there was so much of diversity that would actually help me later in life to mold my personality. So I remember as a child, when I grew up, in a family that was taking care of foreign students, international students who came all the way to India for studies and felt homesick, didn't feel, or maybe depressed, or just needed some financial help. My parents would get them into our family. And I remember having spent my childhood with at least one or two foreign students living in our house. So I remember a Nigerian student who was actually undergoing psychiatric treatment for depression, and he was given a room in our house. It was on a college campus because my father was a teacher, and you know how big teachers' homes are. And therefore, one little room or a little bed was almost dedicated to a foreign student. I remember having spent almost a whole year with an American boy who just came to our house and told my father that, the place that I'm staying, I don't feel at home, and therefore find another family for me, because I was staying as a paying guest. And can you believe it? My father said, "This is a family. Why don't you start staying with us?" And he stayed with us for almost one whole year. And you won't believe it, that this American boy, when he came into our house, and my grandmother was a staunch lady, there was so much of opposition, so much of criticism by her, saying that I will not allow this boy to come into the kitchen, let him cook his food elsewhere, and so on and so forth. By the end of 3 months, my grandmother and the person who was staying with us, we used to fondly call him John Kaka. Kaka means uncle in Marathi. Would then go to sing bhajans in a nearby temple, waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning. So these were stories that happened just around me. Little did I realize that while I was growing up as a child, that these would imbibe into me as qualities to shape up my character. So the quality of secularism, for example, probably shaped up because of this environment in my house, or the diversity that helped me to probably think different in a situation where there could be diverse opinions coming when I started heading an organization, probably were because of this culture or the sanskars that I got imbibed in. The second quality, and I think that is one of the most important qualities that young students should certainly imbibe, and I'm sure many of your parents must have imbibed them, that quality in you, is the quality of honesty. I think honesty and transparency are qualities that will take you to higher heights. And this is something that I, again, got through the family sanskars that I grew up in. There were several occasions where there were temptations of maybe money, other resources that would come our way. And I remember my father saying no to so many such things. And again, something that he never taught us, but something that got imbibed because of his actions while we were at home and we were young children growing up. When I say we, it's me and my younger sister. And while we were growing up, we realized that these were such strong characters that got built in our personalities. Third thing is, when we talk about women empowerment and we hear it around us, again, something that probably my family, because of my family, I got those sanskars, and then I am passing on to an organization that I'm leading. Again, something that probably was never taught. We're two sisters. At a point in time when, in the families, there was so much about having a son. And I was about 5 years old when my little sister was born. I can still remember, I think at age 5 and 6, you still remember a few things of your childhood. I remember having gone, to the hospital where my mother delivered, and then we got this little baby girl home. And again, the family members, when you live in a joint family, especially with elders, they say they're a little dejected when you have a second daughter coming in, because the family wants a son. And I cannot forget my father's statement and my parents' statement saying that if we are two of us, then, God has given us this chance to create two more, irrespective of whether it's a boy or a girl. And even if they're two girls, we will empower them so well, that people and we as parents will feel or should feel proud of. This was a very simple statement which I just overheard him saying to the other family members. But I think that what did it bring into me? A sense of women being given importance, girls being given importance. And therefore, I think when we talk about women empowerment, it is all about giving importance to women in your families, whether it's your sister, your friend, your mother, your grandmother. This is especially in a culture of our country where the society is still so patriarchal. Giving this importance to women around you, women in organizations that you will start working with. I think this is another great lesson. Again, as I said, the roots were not seen, they were under the soil. So these gunas or the sanskars were not seen, but then they shaped my personality. Why do you think an organization that I lead has so many women leaders? Again, it is not by choice, it just happens. It just happens because, again, the sanskars of someone who created it get built in this organization, and then they flow out into actions like these. And then people come and say that, oh, this organization has more than 50% of women leaders. I mean, it's not because we want to have more women leaders, but it just happens that there is a culture of giving importance to women for their capabilities, not pulling them down. And if there are apples to be compared, then if there is a woman who's equally capable, she gets an equal chance as what a man would get. Unfortunately, in the education sector, even in India, you will be surprised to know that there are just 7% university leaders who are women. In a profession where we generally believe that there could be more women teachers, there could be more women faculty. We all have been taught by more women teachers than men. But even in a society like this, out of 1,000 plus universities, there are just 7% universities that have women vice chancellors. So I think, again, we need to build in these roots, through these roots, the sanskars, so that we exemplify them further. My mother was a very intelligent woman. She is still a very intelligent woman, but very studious, I would say, a woman. When I was born, she was still undergoing her studies. And my father would sacrifice his profession, allowing her to study because she was doing her PhD, and allowing her to go and do research in laboratories for long hours, and he would take care of me. Now, nobody would believe, this situation where the father is taking, of course, in the Western world, you do see, but in Indian families, it is a rarity. But I'm talking about all this probably 55 years ago when I was 2 and 3 years old, when my father took more care of me at home. When I say more care, in the sense, the care that a child would require at home, than what my mother did, because she didn't have time, and he gave her time to do her research and her PhD, simply because he felt that she should also study. And a time came when my father started leading or creating an organization where he needed to devote so much time to it, that my mother gave up her career. She could have well become an accomplished professor by now, but she gave up her career just to take care of two daughters who were now growing up and needed help from her. What do you learn from this? You learn compatibility, you learn adjustment. None of them ever felt that, no, I am sacrificing for you, why should I sacrifice? It's my career. It's not about careers, it's about how you bring up your family. A career can be well made. When we grew up, we became mothers. My mother, as a grandmother, took care of the grandchildren, because I was a medical doctor practicing, running from pillar to post, conducting deliveries and so on, trying to earn some money. So naturally, someone had to take care of my children. She was right there. But when my children grew up, she came back into the profession, and she started doing something that she really likes to do. And she continues now to not just be a grandmother and a great grandmother, but also a very highly accomplished professional. Whether it's your spouse, whether it's your parents, the support that you get from them, the sanskars that you get from them, actually shape your personalities and characters. And your future actions definitely depend on something that you have gone through the past, that really helps you build your own personality. So don't ignore things that you're going through. Don't be also so conscious about things, but certainly try and imbibe some things that probably your parents are telling you to do, you might not accept, but later in life you will say that, oh, this is something that my father or mother told me, and how important this is in my later life, because my personality got shaped. Saying a no, I always tell students that when you're doing something in the city of Pune or wherever in your life, you should always think, close your eyes and think whether your parents would have liked you doing this. If the answer is yes, please go ahead. If the answer is no, just stop and forbid yourself from doing, taking that action that you would have otherwise. It's a very simple mantra, at least which I have followed, and something that has shaped my life, which I follow even today. So just that when you're tempted to do something, or any action that you are not really sure of, just think whether your parents would allow you or would like you to do that action. I think other than family, what also shapes your roots is education and teachers. I think in our sanskars, at least in our mythology, we respect our teachers like gods. I mean, next to your mother is the first, the father is the second, and then is the teacher. So the role of a teacher is extremely important, and I think the role of education is very important. And I, for one, believe that education is not just about the skills, about employability. I know all of you come here for jobs, so naturally your parents have invested so much in studying at this organization, that naturally these there has to be a return on investment that they have made. But it's not just about getting the skills or acquiring the skills in any college or a university. I think it's all about shaping your personality to becoming a good, a responsible human being, full of values, full of something which is so core, that you should feel that your roots are so strong, and the strength of these roots are given to you by good education, or so many other things that your teachers teach you beyond what they teach you as subjects or the discipline that you have come here for. So I think good education is also very important to strengthen your roots, to make your roots stable, so that your actions that people will perceive later in life will be so good, or such good actions which will rest on this stability of the roots. So don't ignore these 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of your life when you're going through an education system. Be conscious of imbibing in the most, whether it is curricular, whether it is extracurricular. In fact, I would say more extracurricular, because what you're going to remember is not just about the lessons that are taught to you by teachers for a discipline that you've come here, which is management or IT. But beyond that, what the teacher teaches you, the kind of teamwork, the kind of projects that you do, there's so much learning, because you're constantly with diverse opinions when when you're doing projects together. Someone may not agree to you as much as what you think is right, but still that is great learning. Why do you think an organization, passes you through all these phases? Is again because teachers are also the ones who make your roots very strong. And the last, of course, is peers. You tend to ignore peers around you, and peers would be not just friends. Peers could be even professional staff, people around you. I think we tend to ignore the friends who are with us. And I also feel that we tend to ignore, people who are not so much like you, within a system. So you would try and make friends with someone who speaks the same language, someone who has likings like you, someone who you can relate to mentally, you're compatible. I would say move out of these shackles and try and make, I always say in my induction address, try and make friends with a person from another state, from a student from another country. Why? Because this kind of intercultural sensitization that can happen to you all is going to shape your actions in the future, in your future life. So try and make friends with someone who's different from you, because there's a great learning from peers. You will not even realize that the kind of learning that if you're a South Indian girl and you make friends with a North Indian girl, or someone from Northeast, inadvertently there is so much of learning that's happening to your life. I think your life is a journey which is constantly, a journey of education, and education not formal. This is informal education, right? In a meeting that we have of, say, directors of this organization, you won't imagine as students how much chaos there is. I mean, some of the directors were sitting here, so many diverse opinions, people trying to shun each other. Still, you, as a leader, you're willing to take all these, and then when you take these opinions of diverse people, what you do finally and take a decision rests on these diverse opinions, because the larger goal of the organization is what you look at as a leader. And therefore, as said, that your peers who are from diverse backgrounds, try and make friends with them, because you would you realize that a culture that you're imbibing in through a person from another state or another country, or an opinion which is so diverse from yours that you are trying to accommodate while in your young days as a student, will probably help you in later life when you become leaders, when you have to take decisions, when you have to listen to diverse opinions. I'm sure these are qualities of good leadership, and then you will function in a decentralized manner where you will give respect to these diverse opinions and say that, okay, if for a larger goal of this organization, her opinion is much better than mine, I should be able to accept that that diverse opinion is better than mine, and I will then become a popular leader and an acceptable leader. So I think these opinions from peers are equally important to build your sanskars, and even opinions from professional people around you are equally important. So I'm really happy that this topic was considered. I tried to cover it in my own way through my own experiences. The topic that has been chosen as an inverted tree, where you talk about actions, flowers, fruits, and how your roots and the sanskars, especially as Indians, one must feel really proud proud of your own heritage, of your own culture, of your own family, of your own friends, and of the stability that we have, because that is our core. Our actions are all based on the core that we generate while we are young people, and then not just help us in our own actions, but pass it through generations for people who we create in our further lives. So thank you very much for inviting me, and I hope you've gained a little bit from my talk. Thank you.